Welcome to the WTR Small-Cap Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Tim Gerdeman, Vice Chair and Co-founder and Chief Marketing Officer of Water Tower Research. In today's podcast episode, I'm being joined by Arthur Sams, President, CEO, and Chairman of Polar Power, NASDAQ, ticker symbol POLA. Polar Power is a leading provider of direct current or DC advanced power and cooling systems focused on applications for telecom, military, renewable energy, automotive, and multiple other sectors. Also joining us today is my WTR Equity Research colleague, Peter Gastreich. Good morning, Arthur and Peter, and thank you for joining today's podcast.
Yes, good morning, Tim and Peter. Welcome the opportunity to discuss some of the stuff that we're doing around here.
Hey, good morning.
Arthur, could you please give our audience a brief high-level overview of Polar Power's business model to include the company's vision, key technologies, and target markets?
Okay. Polar delivers power and cooling solutions for applications requiring increased fuel and energy savings, greater reliability, more compact size, lighter weight for greater mobility. Our applications include robotics, communications, EV charging, data centers, microgrids for homes and businesses. Our strategy is to grow markets that are not currently serviced by large manufacturers of generators, for example, Generac, Kohler, and etc. The idea behind what we're doing is producing power systems that are closely integrated with power and cooling needs, allowing us to reduce the application cost in both OPEX, and CAPEX.
Great. Before Peter delves into Polar Power's strategy, can you please share your professional background as well for our listeners, Arthur?
Okay. My engineering focus is on systems integration and with power and cooling applications. I have about 4 years of biology and 4 years of engineering study at Cal Poly Pomona and UCI. However, I acquired most of my problem-solving skills as a young teenager inventing things, and I was fortunate enough to have the resources to build my inventions. My studies and life experiences have provided me with significant insight on how mechanical and electrical systems can both service man and nature. I've gained experience while working as a machinist, engineer, project manager, CEO, and consultant for various Fortune 500 companies, along with the U.S. Department of Defense, U.S. Department of Energy. I was co-founder and president and CEO of Polar Power since 1979, and Polar has been a leading brand name in the design and manufacturing of DC generators and solar hybrid power systems for telecommunications, defense, automotive, and marine and industrial markets. So I've been accomplishing this, I would say, for the past 50 plus years. So I do have quite a amount of experience in all kinds of strange projects and interesting projects and stuff like that.
I will say in a complimentary fashion, the childhood background you just gave me gives me images of Steve Jobs working in his parents' garage in high school.
I worked in my parents' garage. I also had fortunate to work in my neighbors' garages and my friends' garages. I had machine shops. I had my own laboratory, and I was amazed what I could do then, which would be impossible to do nowadays.
That's awesome. With that, I'll turn it over to Peter.
Hey, thanks, Tim, and thanks, Arthur, for that high-level overview. Keeping in mind that we have a generalist audience here, it would be great if you could elaborate a little bit more on Polar Power's technology in layman's terms. And within that, it'd be great if you could kind of cover some of the advantages of the systems when compared to the competing technologies and maybe some of the tangible benefits for your customers.
Okay, great question. Let's start off by comparing a Polar DC generator with some of the popular brands like Generac or Kohler as used in various applications. Telecommunications equipment is all DC. For example, we'll start off with talking about telecommunications. When an AC generator is installed in site, the output of the AC generator must be converted to DC. And in this process, efficiency is lost. And the electronics required to convert the AC to DC can cost as much as the AC generator itself. And this is a huge expense for the off-grid sites. Now, considering the conversion loss from AC to DC and the fact that our DC rear earth permanent magnet alternators are more efficient than the typical AC alternator, combining these two, the telecom company can save up to about 40% in fuel savings by using a polar DC generator. Now, in the telecommunications industry, rooftop applications are very important, very popular too. And the installations of the DC generator is facilitated with its small size and lightweight. This reduces construction costs on top of the roof required for reinforcement. Also, the customers can move the generator up to the roof using an elevator as opposed to using an expensive crane as required by the AC generator set. Now, solar hybrid microgrids, prime power, backup power for residential, commercial, industrial applications, they all typically use an AC generator set as backup in case they don't get enough sun, or possibly that there is no solar in the microgrid or prime power application. Now, in these applications, the generator can typically run 3 to 24 hours a day. So imagine you've set yourself up in Florida and you went for extended power outage due to a storm. You got your Kohler Generac and some solar. Now, you're running your Generac or Kohler, and every 8 to 12 hours of runtime, you need to go out there and check the oil level. And every 200 to 200 hours, you need your oil changed. And more importantly, the generator has an operational life of about 3,000 hours. So every 3,000 or so hours, you're out there replacing your generator set. Now, imagine this, the Polar DC generator with the Toyota 1KS CHP engine has an oil change interval of about 4,500 hours. So in effect, you are changing your oil after your neighbor has changed his generator set. So the engine life on the generator is 60 to 90,000 hours. Now, in these applications, people can truly get into solar hybrid systems, whereas, again, they're increasing the output of solar using a little bit of fuel, either natural gas or propane. In off-grid applications, we can provide the additional power needed during storms or monsoon seasons. So anyway, in these microgrid applications, we've demonstrated that the Polar DC generator set can reduce fuel consumption by as much as 59%, which is considerable. Now, for fast mobile charging, taking care of the stranded driver of an electric vehicle, it happens. Our DC generator directly connects to the vehicle. So you pull up, we have our generator, it connects directly to the vehicle via the proper charging plug. There's no additional electronics required to convert the AC to DC. The Polar charging system can fit into a small pickup truck as opposed to current more popular systems requiring a significantly larger truck. The cost to provide mobile charging service for the stranded EV driver will be, using our technology, more than a 40% fuel savings. And the operational savings is considerable, considering that you can service roadside stranded drivers using a small pickup truck as opposed to a huge tractor trailer or a huge flatbed truck. The savings obviously are with fuel, tire, insurance, and vehicle taxes. So solar, battery energy storage systems, EV, robotics, data centers, telecommunication sites, military programs, new military weapon systems are all DC applications. And it's crazy to use AC generator sets. What we have to do is it's a constant process of education, making the customer aware of these savings and available technologies.
Okay, great. So 59% fuel cost savings, a lot of other benefits in there as well for your customers. That sounds great. But currently, you mentioned telecommunications. I understand that's currently a pretty big, share of your business at the moment. But you have been looking to a strategy to start diversifying those sources of revenue, including electric vehicles. Could you talk a bit more about that strategy?
Okay, now let me start off with the very beginning. To develop our products and our technologies, we use the military for that. We use our engineering and custom production capacity for numerous military contracts. And participation in these contracts support our product development and testing of our products. Then our next plan, which we implemented years back, was to apply our technology and equipment that we developed for the military to telecom applications for revenue growth and developing worldwide service network. Now, with a strong production and service network, we further diversify into residential and industrial applications. And this is kind of the stage at where we're at. Our diversification goals are about 10 to 15% military, 10 to 20% telecom, and residential, commercial, industrial at 65 to 70%. Now, currently, telecom, we're about 80%. We need to get that. We need to grow the sales revenues in that market, but at the same time, we need to grow the other market opportunities at a faster pace. The other market opportunities are more profitable, and overall, these different markets help stabilize our growth and provide us with reduced risk. Sales structure-wise, military and telecom are primarily direct sales. Residential, commercial, industrial applications, including EV charging, nano, microgrids, natural gas and propane heat pumps, combined heat and power generators, and power systems for robotics, and on and on and on, would be serviced through a network of dealers and distributors, along with exporting to overseas distributors and related companies. Now, to accomplish this would require restructure of our sales organization. This is what we're in the process of doing. And to quickly accomplish this, we're pursuing joint ventures, making new marketing programs, and seeking some mergers, acquisitions.
And for your recent third quarter results, one of the things that stood out there was that your backlog has been increasing to more than $5 million. What's been supporting that increase, and what's the road to converting that backlog into revenue?
Okay. Our largest customers domestically have postponed placing their orders during 2025 to the third quarter of 2025. So it wasn't that there was it falls on the situation, whereas they're holding back orders. So they released them third quarter. We expect the orders to continuously be released during the first quarter of 2026. So to manage the backlog, it's a growing backlog. Right now, it's about 6.3 million. During our slow period, we still maintain our production crews and facilities, along with a large inventory. But converting the backlog and a large inventory into revenue does present some challenges due to tariffs and related supply chain shortages. The saving grace is that POLA does manufacture most of its own components and subassemblies. So we have the opportunity to redesign subassemblies as needed to resolve supply chain shortages. But a little bit on the downside is it's keeping our engineering crews really busy.
Okay, and then in terms of your capacity, it also looks like that's pretty underutilized at the moment. What sort of challenges have you faced in that respect? And what steps are you taking to address that utilization rate? Will some of that come from converting this backlog?
Yes, and also grabbing other sales. In terms of margin potential on our backlog, we see the first quarter of 2026, this first quarter, being greatly affected by tariffs and ramping up production rates. As obviously as we ramp up production rates, our margins can grow because of utilization of our fixed overheads. As we increase our production rates, we expect our margins can return to about 35 to 40%.
And what would be that strategy for scaling that capacity and including your financing and capital strategy for supporting that growth?
Okay. A couple of things. One, in terms of growth, we're expecting our overseas efforts to yield fruit first quarter 2026. We've been working for about 3 years on a number of major telcos overseas, and we believe that we will be able to start receiving orders from overseas and sizable orders starting in the first quarter of this year. Domestically, we're restructuring our sales organization, and over the years, we had a sales staff of about 4 managing up to $32 million in sales. Now we have to restructure that because the way that our customers are purchasing has changed. Instead of dealing with a number of direct entities, the telcos are transferring the purchasing of generators over to their contractors. So there's been some change there that we have to adapt with.
I guess one other thing I'd like to touch on, Arthur, and you did mention earlier, some tariff risks. Also sounds like, rare earths are somewhere within your supply chain. I'm just kind of curious, has your business been affected much by geopolitics and some of these, supply chain risks that have been affecting some other companies? And just curious, if so, what have you been doing to address those issues?
Yes, we're being affected by the tariffs. We've seen prices on some of the electronics that we buy skyrocket well beyond 15, 20, or 150%. We've seen some electronics go up 500%. We've seen some of the customers overseas cut back due to geopolitical uncertainties, cut back on their orders purchasing. We've also seen that domestically. So diversification is one way by expanding our customer base. The other advantage we have is since we do manufacture most of the products that we consume, we can make changes in terms of suppliers, material, and specifications on components. And that's keeping our engineers quite busy right now.
Okay, great. Yeah, this has been a great overview of your business overall. I'd just like to ask, if I'm an investor and I'm kind of wanting to focus on what's coming up over the next 12 to 18 months at your company, what should I be thinking about, and what sort of signposts should I be thinking about?
Okay. Look at the increase in our backlog and the introduction of new products. We're forming ventures with other companies, most notably in the propane, natural gas, and distributions. So we'll be leveraging their subscriber bases to purchase our products in terms of home and residential commercial systems for microgrids, nanogrids, gas-powered heat pumps, things like that. And overall, look for an increase in promotion of our products from niche to mainstream.
So anyway, Arthur, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today and taking us through your strategy at Polar Power. It does look like an opportune time for your power and cooling systems. Good opportunities here to diversify into some growing markets. So we'll certainly be following developments very closely at your company with great interest. We also hope you can come back to join us for a future event.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I look forward to it.
Okay, well, Arthur and Peter. Arthur and Peter, thanks for joining today. And Arthur, best wishes in the new year for a prosperous year for Polar Power.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe, as well as visiting www.watertowerresearch.com to stay up to speed on the company's small cap written research reports, podcasts, fireside chats, industry-specific symposiums, and conference schedules. We will see you next time for another edition of the WTR Small-Cap Spotlight podcast. Finally, a special thanks to the producer and editor of the podcast, Krista Fitzpatrick.